Welcome to California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Today our guest is Curt Hagman. He is a member of the California State Assembly. He is a nominee for the Board of Supervisors in San Bernardino County. And so I want to speak with you about the boards of supervisors and the attraction of the boards. As you know, in Los Angeles County, Hilda Solis went from United States Department of Labor Secretary to run for the Board of Supervisors. Your opponent is leaving the U.S. Congress to run for the Board of Supervisors. You've been rumored as a potential state Senate candidate. No, you're looking at the Board of Supervisors. What is it about the Board of Supervisors that is so attractive?
You know, I think because the legislature is either at a state or federal level, you're one of many, and you're dealing with very broad issues. To come to a county where you're one of five, and a regional area that gives you real authority. For my attraction is I'm local government,
right,
business owner, hands-on executive branch type of guy versus a legislative where you put things in the sky and hopefully they come to fruition 4 or 5 years later.
But you've been known as quite the tactician.
Yes.
In the state assembly. So it's interesting because you have been one that has really kind of risen to the top, both metaphorically and literally, in the state legislature. So it could have been a natural to say, you know, I'm going to look at the state Senate.
No, and be honest, I was recruited for Congress as well.
See?
This term. It doesn't mean it's not part of that in the future for me.
Right.
For me personally, I still have a young kid at home. I
Yes,
like to be
right.
home, be a
Well
dad.
stated.
And yeah, I miss part of that for my son who's off to college now. So
Right.
there's both personal and very pragmatic reasons for me to come back to county supervisor. But I think it is being one of day-to-day activities again,
Right.
and seeing that, especially. Yeah, as frustrating as it can be in the legislature, especially part of the minority party, not to get as much done as you'd like to get done.
At the same time, you are coming back, presuming victory, to San Bernardino County, which it's been a couple of years, but let's say that it had seen better days in terms of its electeds. You've had, I think 3 out of 5 of the last few boards of supervisors indicted. So, you know, San Bernardino's seen better days.
Yeah, which gives a great bottom floor to work from,
Right,
doesn't it?
exactly.
It's a huge vacuum to fill there, and I think there's a great opportunity for San Bernardino County to come back strong economically again,
Right.
because it got hit one of the harder areas. So I think it's a great opportunity to go in right now and to rebuild San Bernardino County, being a good county.
And then there's the city of San Bernardino. Any part of your district in the city?
No, but I know the electeds and know
Right.
what they're going through there as far as
It went
bankruptcy.
bankrupt, right. And so talk to us about that. Even though you technically wouldn't represent the city of San Bernardino, you're part of the county.
Correct.
So obviously you want to see the main city in that county come back.
No, absolutely. And I think they have a lot of potential there as well. I think, unfortunately, you'll see more of this on cities up and down the state with the pensions. And we talked about
Right.
that in the past of what kind of burdens to put on the state, on the budget. And how do you come up with new areas for income, like the state's taking away redevelopment and other income
Sure.
sources for these cities. So I don't think San Bernardino is going to be the last city that goes through this problem, but when they come out, they should come out stronger. They have the airport out there. They have a lot of open space to build upon, and it is a crossroads junction for transportation, all the rest of it. And I think with some vision there, they could come back strong as long as they get their fundamentals straight.
And you talk about Crossroads Junction. I think about your district. It really is kind of the focal point of 4 different counties. I mean, you think about Chino Hills as an example. Folks in Chino Hills may wind up in Orange County for work, may wind up in LA County for work, may wind up in Riverside, or may wind up in San Bernardino. I mean, you're really right there. So I got to think that presents its own unique challenges.
It is both challenges and opportunities there. When I was on council for Chino Hills and mayor, we used to have a 4 quarters policy committee where we met with the cities around there, because
Right.
the out-fringe cities of a county are generally the last ones to think about for resources from the county,
Right.
because it helps the least amount of people in the county. So we always
Right.
have to advocate for LA and San Bernardino to work together toward that 60
Right.
interchange connection or things like that. And that's what we worked on for a long time.
So presuming victory, what do you hope to achieve, let's say, in your first year? What are your goals?
The biggest 2, I guess, would be both economic. One is to really work on getting Ontario Airport away from LAX and La La, and I
Yes.
think it's going in the right direction right now. And secondly is
I got to ask you about Ontario Airport.
Sure, and to grow economically the West End, which I think is a great possibility to do with both local, domestic, and foreign investment right now.
I'm sure you heard that an official in Los Angeles, in referencing Ontario
Yeah.
Airport, called the Inland Empire the inbred empire. Not his finest moment. What does one do in the wake of a statement like that that really kind of look, I don't even know the person's name, but right, I mean, that is a below the belt statement.
Yeah, intentions and emotions, it's the same thing with political campaigns,
Right.
run very high. This has been from a pragmatic to legal to now a political campaign of Ontario versus Lawa.
Right.
And
Los Angeles World Airports.
correct, and it needs to be resolved for the health of both entities. Ontario Airport is dying without local control.
Right. Now, why? Explain why that
Sure,
is.
sure. Well, think about it this way. I know one of the airlines, international airlines, wants to come to California, can't get in LAX because they're full. If they come to Ontario, it'd be great. But LAX or LAWA wants to keep those international flights coming to LA. Why?
see.
Those passengers pay TOT tax in their hotels. They buy their
Right.
goods there, and it adds a lot more landing fees there. So how you manage that is our landing fees in Ontario are much higher than is in LAX, which makes no sense. Our price per passenger for expenses are much higher, one of the highest in the nation right now, because all the expenses get paid on to Ontario. So it's the management of those type of things that make the difference.
But it seems like even your friends in LA are willing to talk.
Yes.
But we've been
The new
talking
mayor.
about this. The new mayor,
mayor,
Mr. Garcetti.
And also he's appointed new members of the commission for LAWA.
Right.
And I think it's all about a number now.
I
How
see.
much does LA have invested? How much can it get paid back? If you look at a business model, Ontario's not worth anything because it's losing money right now. But
Right.
obviously there's tens of millions of dollars invested in by LAX and the infrastructure, how they get that money back. What is that number?
Right, okay, to be continued. I want to speak about an issue percolating in the state, and that deals with unemployment. Fortunately, our unemployment rate is dropping in California, still above the national average. But in the wake of this, there had been what some are calling a scandal at the Employment Development Department in terms of modernizing its technology. What's happened?
Yeah, go backwards a little bit.
Please.
Yeah, 9 months, 12 months ago when unemployment was much higher, and frankly, I think it's still higher, but they dropped off the unemployment rolls.
That's
a different
Yeah.
argument. People who are staying online for days or weeks and can't get through to phone call to renew their and not get their checks. And basically, EDD came back and said, look, our software is old, we don't have enough manpower, and that's why your constituents aren't getting services and aren't getting the checks they needed. The governor and the Secretary of Labor stepped in and say, we're going to spend $61 million on a new software program. We're going to modernize the whole system, which comes out of the state pocket, by the way, not the federal government, not the insurance. That comes out of our state pocket. And we're going to fix the system. So we had a hearing on this in our insurance committee where I'm vice chair, and they had a whole bunch of promises. Now, a report that's coming out this last week says, well, that didn't happen. We spent the $61 million. We hired 172 new state employees. The unemployment rate has gone down. The claims have gone down, but overtime's gone up 3 times more than it was.
Why?
That's what we're trying to find out.
Is it because the workers are trying to figure out the new system, the new technology?
We need to find that out. As overseers of public resources, we need to at least have those answers. We should not be hearing this from the report from the newspaper. We should be reported to. It's part of our oversight duties. You made certain representations when we authorized the $61 million spent on the software. You made representations when we hired 172 new employees. Your workload is less, but your overtime has gone 3 times more, up to another $21 million.
So how do we get these answers?
Yeah, have a hearing and have basically an audit report. So we call for our JLAC committee, which is Joint Legislative Audit Committee, to have the auditor go out and take a look at it and see if they can actually get facts and numbers and not just the testimony.
So who has to decide whether to send an audit? Does the chairman?
The committee will prioritize the legislator's request. So we put a request in. Obviously, it's not going to happen until new session comes back, and we'll pass it on to folks who take over my position when I'm termed out, and to hopefully have that take a look at, and it'll start next year.
What about the controller? Could you not call on him?
You
or
can,
her?
but it's a different
I guess it's going to be a her no matter what.
We actually have authority to do these audits
from
the legislative branch. The controller is the executive branch. Obviously, that's part of the governor's problem was he was saying this is all going to be fixed and we don't have this problem and we're not have to worry about this debt. So.
Okay, his name is Curt Hagman. He is a member of the California State Assembly. He is a nominee for the Board of Supervisors in San Bernardino County. Election day coming up November 4th. Don't forget to vote. My name is Pomerance, and this is California Edition.